Well, U.S. construction and mining equipment maker Caterpillar has been doing business in China and other countries along the Silk Road for decades. Tom Pellete, the Group President for Construction Industries, was at the summit to talk about Caterpillar's involvement in the Belt and Road Initiative. He spoke with CCTV's Roee Ruttenberg and began by discussing how the company is weathering China's economic slowdown.
If you look at the future of growth for Caterpillar as a company, when you have large construction markets like Brazil, like China, which are significantly down from their peaks, you have to see where other opportunities for growth are. And really, in fact, you look at the infrastructure contractors that are represented here today at the summit. You know, those contractors, the large infrastructure contractors in China, represent about 20% of global construction. And these companies, because the domestic market in China is down from peak, and because of the Belt and Road Initiative, they are going out very strongly to other parts of the world and doing infrastructure projects. As these contractors go outside of China, they need support in their projects. And we have 175 dealers. We cover nearly all the countries in the world with those dealers. And so it puts us in a good position to support our good customers in China as they expand globally around the world.
Your company has suffered some losses in recent years. Are you pinning your hopes on these other markets, specifically in Eurasia?
Some of our segments are down from a historical peak, but the company is profitable, and the markets are varying. So if I talk about the broader Caterpillar, the U.S. infrastructure market has been fairly strong. Europe, while being well off of peak, is also showing some strength for us. And some of our larger markets, the developing markets, which were a bigger part of our business 5 years ago, have actually been reduced significantly. The CIS is one of those with the political issues that exist. If you look at oil prices, it has put business in Africa and Middle East in challenge. And of course, the political and economic issues in Brazil. China used to be, and still remains, one of the largest construction markets in the world, but is significantly off peak, so in the range of 70 to 80% from a total industry perspective. We've seen some stabilization now in China if you look at the industry data that's published, so we're hopeful that there's some growth domestically in China. But as these projects get funded for the Silk Road Initiative, for the Belt and Road, we want to be there to be part of them. It will certainly help face the challenge that we're facing today.
Caterpillar has pledged $1 billion to invest in businesses in Africa. Do you consider Africa to be an untapped market?
Oh, absolutely. I would call Africa, one of the continents of the future. You can argue about a couple areas of potential growth, but it has huge potential. When you look at the growing middle class, very fast growing middle class, you look at a very youthful population, and it is a continent with absolute untapped potential and possibility for the future.
Your company has called for the passage of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP. Why is its ratification so important to you?
Well, if you look at Caterpillar over the years, we have been a champion of free trade, and it's absolutely critical. There's a lot of discussion in the U.S., particularly in the present political climate, about U.S. jobs. I think if you go back and you look at the growth, we still have about a 50% domestic workforce, 50% international in Caterpillar, and a significant part of our business is overseas business. So we have a huge amount of exports from the U.S. to other markets. And we continue to invest in manufacturing facilities in countries like China, like Brazil, but also in the U.S. And so there's a balance there. We want to build our infrastructure close to our markets. And so there's a balance between investment in the U.S., investment in emerging markets, and free trade is critical for the growth of our company and the success of our company. You can imagine for a company that, depending on the year, might export 60 to 70% of its product, and then suddenly if there were trade barriers that were put up, it would be devastating to us. So, very important, and we've been a long-time proponent of free trade.
And are you concerned by the recent political language, the discourse in the U.S. surrounding the TPP?
Yeah, you have to, I guess, separate. We think it's important that the will of the American people are served, and so it will be an interesting month ahead of us, leading up to the U.S. election. I think, I guess, if I had to speak about it personally, I would hope that some of the dialogue that's going on back and forth between the candidates, both of which are not speaking highly of free trade. I would hope that, during the course of the campaign and once the election's over, that people would see how important it is for the U.S. economy overall and for companies like Caterpillar that trade barriers come down.